Well, it's a very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice on a Monday night. More things going on off the pitch than going on the pitch. Did that make sense? More things happening off the pitch than there are happening on the pitch. And it's really quite frustrating, I think, for an awful lot of West Ham fans who must be reading all the latest stories and wondering what on earth is going on. Some of the stories I think we kind of already knew about. Some of the stories we're not so much surprised about. But one or two stories coming out tonight or came out today are sort of making you scratch your head a little bit going, what are we going to even have a team, let alone a squad or anyone on the bench to be putting out before the Charlton game this coming Saturday? Because it seems there are still more players leaving than there are coming. Let's deal with the obvious ones first. By the way, good evening to everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I can see there's an awful lot of comments in the chat. I will get round to them. I do promise. Should I do that first? No, I won't do that first. Let's get on with the top story today. Now, I said to you some time ago when I remember when at the beginning of the season when all the players were given a squad number, everyone was like, oh, wow, Alvarez is staying. He's got the number 4 shirt. And I said, Alvarez got the number 4 shirt last season and he didn't make an appearance. That was more down to Graham Potter having shipped him out to Fenerbahce before any games were being played. So I kind of reminded people that having a squad number seems to make no difference. And then, of course, Alvarez started in the game against Portsmouth the weekend before last. And even I thought, okay, well, then maybe he is staying. And all of a sudden, as we were coming up to the game, our first league game against Burnley on Sunday, all of a sudden Alvarez had an injury problem. And I questioned it and I said, I bet there's more to it than that. I didn't know anything. I'm no ITK. I just speculated. I bet there's more to it than that. Now, I found out this afternoon that there was indeed more to it than that. And if the rumours are to be believed, Edson Alvarez refused to play, refused to be selected for the game against Burnley. Now imagine how that must feel for a manager to have a game plan, to think you know exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to set yourself up, etc., only to be told at the last minute that, or well, don't know the last minute, but only to find out that a player doesn't want to play. Now, there are these suggestions coming out that, well, of course he doesn't want to play under Nuno. Oh, come on. We've heard this before. We've heard this about Graham Potter. We've heard this about Lopetegui. We even heard this about David Moyes. And I'm sorry, but I think sometimes we've got to see what's on the other side of this story. And we've just got to, for me, my understanding is if he refused to play, it's not because of the way we set up or the way we sort of, defensive minded and all that sort of stuff. I'll talk about that later on when we look at the game against Burnley later on. But I think there are players in this squad, in this current squad, who Nuno thought were going to be part of this squad, part of the first team, who have kind of thrown their toys out of the pram. And it looks like Edson Alvarez is one of them. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that later on this week, we hear it was all a misunderstanding and Alvarez is fit and ready to go for the Charlton game. But I won't be surprised if he's not. And he's not. He's one of several that seems to be showing no interest in wanting to play for West Ham United because obviously the Championship is beneath them, isn't it? Now, look, one of the things that that's happened that we are led to believe is that players who, now that we've been relegated, players have lost 50% of their salary. So Alvarez was on something like, he's one of the highest earners, 100 grand a week or something like that, which means he's only earning a pitiful 50 grand a week. Now, the irony here is that the clubs Alvarez is likely to want to go to can't even afford to pay him that. So is it about the money or is it about, their egos and they don't want to play in the Championship? I can't quite work it out which it is. A lot of you have convinced yourselves and will convince yourself that it's all down to Nuno and his man management. And it's apparently because of him that all these players don't want to play. I'm sorry, I don't really buy that. I think, when we look at some of the players that don't want to be at West Ham United, I think a lot of you will agree. I don't think we want some of these players to be at West Ham United. Now I come on to the next player because we all questioned. We heard earlier in this in preseason that he was he was training and everything, and all of a sudden he picked up a knock and he wouldn't be available because he was named on the bench, I think, once in the preseason games, and then he just vanished from sight. Now apparently Songutu Magassa also thinks he's too good for West Ham United, and there's interest from I think a couple of French clubs to showing an interest to buy him. Now I'm surprised because I think quite possibly when we were approached to sell Freddie Potts, I think at the time Nuno must have thought, there was a hesitation in selling Freddie Potts, but then at the time Nuno must have thought, okay, well it's 10 million quid, we could use it for an going into sort of strengthening another part of this squad. And then he must have been thinking, well, I've got Alvarez and I've got Magassa and several other players. So, okay, we could afford to let him go. I bet you now West Ham United must be regretting letting Freddie Potts go. Not so much for the price, but just the fact that he is a similar player to the likes of Magassa, etc. Because if you're going to get someone that really wants to play for the shirt, it would have been Freddie Potts. And now we've left with what I can only call mercenaries who seem to be disinterested in playing for West Ham United. There are others coming up as well. But the Alvarez one, I was always a little bit skeptical, and now it's proving to be, what I thought. But let's see. Let's see. If I'm wrong, I'll gladly hold my hand up and say that I'm wrong if all of a sudden his injury, he gets over his injury and he's available for the game against Charlton this coming weekend. But I'm kind of surprised with Magassa. I thought, Magassa is one of those players that is still learning his trade, not quite good enough for the Premier League, but they're all thereabouts, but would have done really, really well in the Championship. Still young enough to get better. And then, if we go up, then see what we do with him next season. But it surprised me that Magassa seems to have also thrown his toys out of the pram. And then the next one, of course, which probably won't come as any surprise to you, especially with all the rumours that have been circulating in the last couple of weeks, is, of course, Malik Diouf. Now, if there was ever a player, and you even see it in the photo there that's been taken for the West Ham website to name the squad, if there was ever a player that shows quite clearly that he's not interested, is Diouf. The only difference between him and Magassa, I guess, is that Diouf has been named, at least on the bench. Because I keep asking myself, I think between him and Ollie Skulls, they're both good, but they're not brilliant left backs. And of the two, maybe, just maybe, Malik edges it, just maybe. And I'm kind of surprised that he's not been selected in the starting lineup and he's been on the bench. Now I'm beginning to probably realise why. Because just like Magassa and just like Alvarez, it looks like Malik Diouf doesn't want to be at West Ham United either. He's got delusions of grandeur, and I hate saying that about our players because they are our players. They're still meant to be wearing the West Ham shirt, but this guy thinks that he's good enough for a Champions League team and not a Championship team. Perhaps he might be, but not quite yet, mate. And it just seems that when he came on, he looked really lackluster against Burnley on Sunday, and then he didn't clap the fans, or he maybe did it, momentarily, but went straight down the tunnel. And if there was any sign of anyone not wanting to be here, Malik Diouf is showing it with alarming regularity. And I just don't know anymore. We've got these players. They're the ones that took us down. All right, Alvarez didn't, but Magassa, Diouf, they all played their part last season in getting West Ham relegated. And there's an honour about, not just for West Ham United, but there's an honour that players should have. If they got you relegated, they should at least, if the manager believes in them and believes that they can deliver something, then they should give it a damn good try. But Magassa, I don't want to say going on strike, but has he gone on strike? Alvarez refusing to play, is that going on strike as well? And now Diouf, looking likely. And that's why, we've slapped a £50 million price tag on Diouf, because Nuno doesn't want to let him go. Well, do you know what? If we're really going to be offered 35 to 40 million pounds by any football club, then let him the fuck go and use that money and go out and buy a £15 million left back who knows this league really, really well, or £10 million or £20 million, whatever it's going to cost, a lot less than the 35 that we'll get for Diouf, and go and get ourselves a left back that wants to play for this club. I find it really, really, you can feel I'm tired as well. I had a really long day yesterday. I've been working all day today, and then to just, putting this show together and trying to think, well, what are we going to talk about? What angle are we going to take today? So I actually have to start it by talking about three players who couldn't give a stuff about playing for West Ham United if the rumours or the stories that are out there are true. I'll qualify it by saying that if they're true, then I've got no time for them. I'm not in a mood to sit here and be an apologist for these players who don't want to be at West Ham. Life is too short, and our fucking season has started. And if our season has started, it means that we need players that are going to be, that want to play for this football club, rather than wanting to move away just because they think they're too good for West Ham United or too good for the Championship. It's frustrating, and it's really, really irritating. Now, I'm going to talk about other transfers. And no, you know what? Let me finish off with them and get them all out of the way. Have I got any? No, I haven't. So I'm going to have to talk about the other players. I haven't got any images of them. The next one is no surprise. The next three players I'm going to talk to you about that are leaving West Ham United is absolutely no surprise. We know that they're leaving. We know damn well that they're not of these three players didn't have their photos taken for the West Ham website, for the squad, etc. And one of them didn't even get a squad number. So the next one is clearly Nicholas Fulkrug. Now, my understanding is he's already on his way for a medical at his former club, Werder Bremen. They're getting in for peanuts, next to nothing. Now, my understanding is it's a loan deal. Let me just go and check the details. Pirlo heads Fulkrug heads to Werder Bremen. My understanding is it's a season-long loan deal. I could be wrong. I haven't got the exact details in front of me. You probably know better than I do. But we know he's going. There's no surprise there, and I'm not annoyed by that. Because we knew, right from the start of this season that he wasn't going to be part of West Ham United's plans. So no surprise. Todibo, another player who clearly has thrown his toys out of the pram. But again, we knew that he was on his way out. And again, no surprise really that he's leaving. And he's had offers from Marseille, but he's had personal offers from Marseille, like his own, sort of wages and all that. But no deal's been agreed with West Ham United as we speak. And so Marseille have got to approach us and say, we want your player. And we'll say, no problem at all, £25 million, please. And why not ask for it? You know what will happen to if we don't sell Fulkrug or Todibo or the other one, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, then just leave them. Let them stew. Leave them let them train with the under-21s. I feel sorry for the under-21s for having done that. And if they refuse to play, if and when we need them, then we take their salaries away from them. Why not? They're in contract, and whilst they're in contract with West Ham United, the manager has every right to select them. If they don't want to play for West Ham United, don't pay them. And I know someone said to me earlier on, well, they'll just feign injury. They say they're injured. Well, if they're training, they're not injured, are they? If they're actually training, they're going to want to keep fit. They're not going to want to, sort of not keep fit. So if they're training, it means they're fit enough. So there you go. Todibo is another one. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka, still waiting for Aston Villa to make their move, if they're going to make their move at all. Now, David Moyes was in the crowd at Burnley on Sunday, and apparently he was casting an eye over one or two players, a couple of players from Burnley, and apparently Malik Diouf as well. I don't know if Everton can afford Malik Diouf. Certainly, if Brentford and Sunderland are interested, and we've told them it's going to be 50 million. Well, of course, we're saying 50 million. We know we're not going to get 50 million for him, but if it is 40 million and maybe a few add-ons, then we'll I don't think Everton will be able to afford that. And we're in no mood to be loaning out Diouf, Magassa, or Alvarez. If they want to go, they go. and we get a price for them. Apparently, a price tag on Alvarez has been put in around £20 million. Magassa, I don't know. We bought him for around 17. I guess if we asked for 20 for him, maybe, or between 15 and 20. Diouf, we've already said what the price is for him. Fulkrug, my understanding is he's going for next to nothing. Could be a loan deal. Todibo, we won't be allowing him to go out on loan. We might have to be put. We might be pushed at the last minute, just to get his wages off our wage bill. And then Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we've already said about 20 odd million for him. So there's a lot of money coming in, or there should be a lot of money coming in for these players. The trouble is the transfer window is now 2 weeks from closing, and we've got to get our business done. And it must be extremely. It's extremely frustrating for West Ham fans. How frustrating must it be for the recruitment squad, for Niels Koppen, for Nuno himself, who already said, and I said I'll talk about Nuno later and about his style and all that sort of stuff. But Nuno said in his post-match press conference, we need more attacking players. So we need more attacking players. We need to go out and get them. Now, thankfully, we got one coming. And thankfully, we had one signed, not an attacking player. I made a mistake last week. Got to hold my hand up when I talked about Engels. And I said, he's an attacking midfielder. I screwed up there. I meant he's a progressive midfielder. Progressive in the sense that he plays that number 8 role. So he's not an attack-minded midfielder, but he's capable of sort of like picking the ball up from defence, moving the ball out in the middle, connecting with a attacking lineup, etc. But he's not an out-and-out attacking midfielder. So my apologies for making that mistake last week. But at least we've got, players coming in who are going to make a difference. And I think Engels will definitely make a difference to our midfield this weekend and moving forward as well. Now, why haven't I got a picture of Pirro? Of all the players I should have a photo of, it should be Pirro, but I haven't. Never mind. Another player coming in. A deal has been agreed. It's a loan deal with an obligation to buy if we get promoted for Joel Pirro of Leeds United. Now, I know a lot of fans are going, the poor man's Troy Parrott. What we need right now is players who can prove to be really, really good in this championship league. Now, Solomon, who played on Sunday, demonstrated how very good he can be. I don't like the song that's being sung by the fans, to be quite honest with you. I don't get political, but it's distasteful. But that aside, Manor Solomon proved to be a decent player, and he's going to make a massive difference. I think Engels is going to make a massive difference in the championship, and Joel Pirro, I think, is also going to make a massive difference. Pirro's record, I did a show about him earlier today, but 73 goals in 179 appearances for Swansea and Leeds United combined. He won the Golden Boot in the season that Leeds United got promoted, 19 league goals. So that's not bad. I think, we kind of said it, that you need a mixture of players. I've been saying it till I blew in the face. We need a mixture of players in this squad in order to help get us up. We need, yes, young, dynamic players, absolutely. We need the older players, the elder statesmen, who know what football's all about. But we also need the players who really know what it's like to be playing in the championship. So going for the likes of Engels, what Scottish League, is it on the par with the championship, give or take? Perhaps. But Engels, I think, is a good purchase. I think Pirro is a good purchase. I think Solomon is a good purchase. And Veltman, let's not forget, is also a decent purchase. An experienced footballer who, can come in and do a job for us in defence. So I don't mind the players that are coming in. It's a nice mix. There are other players that we're, of course, interested in, but Pirro is the next one. And my understanding is Pirro will be made a West Ham player Wednesday at the very latest. He should be doing his medical on Tuesday and then announced either late on Tuesday or Wednesday, just in time or enough time for him to be able to play against Charlton this coming weekend. It's a shame that Engels just didn't make it to play against Burnley. I think he would have offered, and boy, oh boy, with Alvarez gone missing, Engels would have been decent to bring in. So I'm happy with the purchases that we're making so far. I'm just not happy that we've not yet finished our business. We still need to do an awful lot more. How many more players do we need? We need absolute. I keep saying it. I'm sorry, I'll repeat myself, but we know we need a central defender. No doubt about that. We're still waiting on Disasi, and he still hasn't made a decision, which I find quite frustrating, quite irritating. But the hope is that Disasi will be the player coming in as centre back, and then we're looking at wingers. We're looking at a couple of young players that I've mentioned a couple of times before. We're looking at Edwin Alspo. Unfortunately, since last week, after telling everybody that West Ham United is a cool club, we're not had any updates. That doesn't mean nothing's happening, but we've not had any updates about Edwin Alspo. But I like that approach, and I also like the approach for Daniel Job, who is also a very decent player, a very decent young player. And we need that young dynamism, and some alternatives in on the wings. So we need a central defender. We know we need a striker, and hopefully Piero will be the answer to that. Hopefully Disasi will be the answer to our defender requirements. Hopefully Piero will be the answer to our striker requirements. And then getting one, maybe even two young players out on the wing, I think as backup is a really good move as well. Decent looking prospects. I don't mind decent looking prospects coming on, causing havoc. That would be good. And then I think, because of what's happening in midfield, where I thought we were kind of pretty much covered with Alvarez and Magassa and James Ward-Prowse and Engels coming in, etc., all of a sudden we're beginning to be short in that one area that we thought we were okay in, which goes back to, I do wonder if Nuno now is thinking we shouldn't have sold Freddie Potts, because he's a West Ham player through and through. He would have shone for West Ham United. I'm going to shut up for a minute because my mouth gets dry. So whilst I'm about to shut up, if you're new to this channel, first time you're watching the West Ham Voice, that QR code takes you directly to the subscription page. Become a subscriber. It costs nothing to subscribe. If you enjoy the content, I do a live show every Monday night. I do an occasional live show on Friday nights with guests. And then throughout the week, I do recorded videos about the latest activity. And I'm also going to mention this because I wore it earlier on today when I did a show, and I love it. I love it. 1981. If anybody wants this, that's the away shirt. I'm really bad at promoting this. That's the away shirt. They also do a home shirt, and the company that do it are the guys that do all these events as well, West Ham events. And if I can find their details, I'll put it up on the screen. There we go. If you like this shirt, the away shirt costs 40 quid. The home shirt costs 35 quid. John from Trinidad, I haven't been able to ask them yet, but I will ask them if they do deliver to Trinidad. So bear with me and I'll get an answer for you. But if you like that shirt, 40 quid for an away shirt, 35 quid for a home shirt. E13 Memorabilia Limited. Their number 07958 472 847. You can WhatsApp them and order a shirt. They're lovely. I tried it on. It even fits me, which is good because I'm putting on quite a bit of weight again. Right. Let's go into your chat. Let's see what people have to say, because goodness me, there's a lot of comments. So do forgive me. I will catch up as quickly as I can. Barney, good evening to you. You're the first in line. We must be saving a fortune on wages with these players who don't want to play. They're not being paid, obviously. I'm afraid they are. It's simple, really. Don't want to play, then don't get paid. Yeah, I agree, mate. But unfortunately, they're contracted and they're getting paid. We love a few disciplinaries to be thrown out there, get them to turn to the PFA, make it as uncomfortable as possible, call them out. We've got nothing to lose. We'll get nothing for them. Fair play, mate. Stephen, good evening to you. Graham, good evening to you. Hope you got some sleep. I did, mate. We must pull all our heads out of the sand and get some suitable players in. We're getting them in, but it's slow. PW, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I was under the impression that we all expected Alvarez, Youth, Wan-Bissaka, Areola, Fulkrug to leave. Cornet, Magassa too. Let them go. Won't miss them. At least Mavropanos wants to say. That's fair. I think we got carried away a little bit with Alvarez. I think we made our feelings very, very clear about Youth. But Wan-Bissaka, Areola is a highly paid player. If we can move him on, we will move him on purely because of the wages he's on. So that's why you're not seeing Areola starting in the cup game or the home game or the league games. Because yes, if we can find someone to buy him, the problem is PW is that all these players are on big money. They're on big money. So I don't disagree with you. They are exactly the players that we want to move on. But it's just this. I think Magassa for me was a surprise. I think Alvarez, I kind of almost bought into the fact that he might be staying. Stephen, how much do we get for Alvarez, Magassa in the summer? I've just mentioned Alvarez. We put a £20,000, £20,000 £20 million price tag on his head, and I think Magassa between 15 to 20 if we get it. PW, no news on Alvarez. Let's scroll down. I just put in as many comments from as many people as possible. How many games does Nuno get with these stale tactics this evening? Well, I will come to him, Michael, a bit later on. Good evening to you, Randy. Hope you had a great weekend. Great week. It was all right. I do still think we need two strikers. If we get Piero and we get Jamie Vardy in as a third choice, Vardy, would you be all right with that? Central attacking midfielder, I agree with you. Left winger, right winger, yeah. Central defensive midfielder, I think that's really probably not now. With Potts Alvarez potentially leaving, we need another left back. If Diouf goes, I agree with that as well as a centre back. Absolutely agree. Let's scroll down. Let's put some other people's comments in. Good evening to you, Riki Corey. Just watched the Cardiff Wrexham game. We are way off. We are way off being ready to play in this physical competitive league. Definitely playing catch up. That's interesting. Yeah, I kind of did say, we need a few bruisers in this team. Good evening, Mr. Levin. Thanks for your message earlier on. Glad you got back from Burnley. With imminent signing of Piero, who will he replace? Pablo, or will it Engels step in? Or I think Engels and Piero both start along with Solomon. I think the team, the lineup we saw on Sunday, you would not normally have Orford and Kante in the same lineup, and quite possibly Pablo would also drop to the bench as well, mate. Michael, Tati got no service at Burnley. I can see him wanting out. Wouldn't blame him. He looks so frustrated. Don't worry. With Engels coming in and a few others, I think he'll start getting the service he wants. Good evening to you, James. I hope you're well, mate. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. Thank you for saying hello. Hammer89, good evening to you. We should get Burrows from Sheffield United, twice the player of Skulls. I think, if Diouf does go, I think we will go looking for a left back. Randy, Andrew, it was frustrating as it was avoidable. I think if the attacker stayed on and had not switched, it was the exception of Pablo going off and possibly put Earthy on. Could have been different. You're putting a lot of faith in Earthy. He's one player that I'm not convinced by. I will come to his tactics. I promise you. We'll talk about Nuno's tactics once I've done some of the comments. James, we can all agree that Nuno made a balls up of subs yesterday. I'll come to it later. Bones should have gone up top. Tati dropped behind where Pablo was, and I'm stuck on who was. Well, this is the problem. He was also stuck on who was going to go out right because we don't have the players in the squad to actually accommodate that. Steve, same old West Ham, very frustrating, but I still live in hope. Let's not forget, people, we didn't lose away from home first game of the season with a squad that's pretty much depleted against a team that's going to be challenging for, to go up as well. They actually deserve to win, Burnley, to be really honest with you. They actually deserve to win. It flattered us to go 2-0 up, to be honest with you. But, of course, we had to hold on to that. Andrew, never got carried away thinking we could walk this league, but yes, they confirmed it to everyone. Absolutely correct. I agree with you. More LBB, good evening to you. Okay, yeah, not a bargain. Probably overpaid a bit considering a year on his contract. But if it helps get us promoted, I guess it's all good. Yeah. Are we talking about Engels or are you talking about... Piero, who are about to sign? Andrew, how many times did we see this last season? Chelsea, Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford. Nuno ain't going to change. I will talk about it. I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise because I know a lot of people have made up their minds about Nuno and his tactics, etc. And I get it. I even said in one of the pre-season friendlies, who was it against? Was it against Rangers? It might have been, where Nuno brought on about 3 subs and they were all defenders. And I went, not in a friendly, mate. Trying to hold on to a 1-0, and then what happened? We drew. Steve, equal ninth at the moment, one behind the playoffs. Still I dream. More LBB. Hopefully, if you get promoted, these championship level players do well enough so we can resell them. We're not buying any future players, so we need another big clear out if we go up. That is a really good point. That is a really good point. And now I'm stuck at the point where I'm thinking we've got to do everything we can do to get out of this league. Let's worry about next season. Because right now, buying Premier League players who either don't want to be here or aren't going to be able to tough it out in this championship, maybe it's not the right answer. Maybe it's not the right solution. But maybe why we're going for a couple of players who are the younger players, sort of like looking to, season in the championship, on coming on every now and again, etc. Like Alspo or like Daniel Job. Maybe they're the players of the future. So if and when we do go up, they will have a year's experience and they'll be more ready to be playing regularly. But I agree with you. The likes of Solomon, we don't know what Solomon's like in the Premier League because we haven't really seen much of him. Pirro, we haven't seen much of him either. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, they can't get into the Spurs team and they can't get into the Leeds United team. But then a Leeds United fan, when I did the Pirro show earlier today, a Leeds United fan messaged and said, well, Pirro didn't play because Fark didn't. See, I'm doing the jokes now. That shows how tired I am. Fark didn't give him an opportunity to play because he changed the system. So I don't know. I don't watch Leeds United. I don't know what's going on there. But that's a Leeds fan who said that he was unfortunate that Pirro, that the system changed and it didn't suit Pirro. So I don't know. Daniela, thought Sunday was not the result we'd hoped for. I think a lot of us would have taken a draw before the game. Let's not get over the top just yet. Mark, good evening. Pirro, a left-footed striker, but also good with his right. That's what I want to hear. James, does anyone believe that potentially Nuno has been misled, lied to with signings? We can talk about that later on. I've done an awful lot about the whole board thing. I don't think he's been lied to. I think Nuno and possibly Kretinsky have had the rug pulled from under their feet with all the shit that's going on with the Stavely bid and gold shares being, I mentioned this. Forgive me. I hate repeating myself, but now that you've raised it, James, I'll do it very, very quickly and get it out of the way. I think the timing, the Stavely bid, the timing of it was abysmal. It was poor. It was really, really, really poor. It was really bad timing. Now, gold, okay, she wants to get as much money for her shares as possible. And that's fair stavely. If I own something and someone's offered me, I don't know, what does she get offered? 150 million. She got offered 150 million from Stavely, but Kretinsky only offered a fraction of that for the percentage of shares, not the whole lot. Then, of course, you're going to take the best offer. Of course you are. But the timing couldn't have been any worse. I think there was a plan. I can't prove it, but I think there was a plan. I don't think Kretinsky would have come out so publicly and said, the club's in good shape financially. We've got a plan ahead. Flying Bowen over to Prague to talk to him about the plan. I think he had a plan. I think it's been completely the rug's been taken from under their feet, and it's scuppered everything. Because we kept hearing that he's going to invest money. Now is all of a sudden he's not invested any money in the building of the squad. Now, if you are under threat from losing your share in the club, are you going to put money in until you've actually resecured your stake? No, of course you're not. So the timing of them is awful. Trudge, I don't blame them for not wanting to play for Nuno ball. A lot of you are going to, you're not going to agree with me. And like I said earlier, when I talk about Nuno, you're not going to agree with me, but it's my thoughts, and we'll debate it there from there on in. Let's scroll down. Let's get some more comments in. Do forgive me. I'm trying to say hello to people, and I'm also trying to get some big comments up. So forgive me that I can't put all your comments up. Mark R, frustrating mate, is making the right changes. I think the result is different, but inviting too much pressure will cost us promotion. Okay, seeing as several of you have talked about it, let's talk about it. Did Nuno make a mistake yesterday? Okay, let's look at the facts. The starting lineup is probably the best he could put out. The players on the bench who had any experience were Areola, James Ward-Prowse, and Veltman. That was it. 3 players on the bench with any experience. The rest of the players, I think I'm right, and the rest of the players were all academy squad players. So he didn't have a lot of choice. What would have happened if he'd have selected James Ward-Prowse over Lewis Orford? The fan base would have been apoplectic. They would have gone, "What are you doing? You've got no clue," etc., etc. I don't think Nuno wanted to play the two youngsters in the same game on the first game of the season away from home, but he had no choice. So there's one issue there. And then secondly, the changes. Pablo felt a tweak. Pablo went off at half time because he got a knock. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to go, "Well, forget the knock, mate. The fans want you on there. So you're going to have to carry on playing and risk, aggravating the knock." Pablo had to go off. And then you look at the bench and then you go, "Okay, I can put yet another youngster on against this fairly experienced Burnley side who have been there, seen it, done it in the Championship several times over. Is this their third time that they've gone down in succession, or twice? They're going to know what's needed to come out of this league again. So do you throw another youngster on and throw him to the wolves and see what happens there?" We had Josh Landers and we had Josh Ajala as the only attacking options on the bench. Or do you say to yourself, "Do you know what? I'm going to, a little bit safe, but it's not going defensive minded when you bring off Pablo and put James Ward-Prowse on." James Ward-Prowse is not, he's one of those, he's a number 8, so he can get forward. He can also drop back as well. I think the only problem there was that he put Bowen in the middle because he said, "I want to give Tati some options." So he put Bowen in the middle and he put Ward-Prowse out on the kind of the right, not as a right winger, but sort of like on the right side of attack. And that kind of didn't work. And then James Ward-Prowse later on in the game dropped into the middle. So there was the first change done, mainly because there was an injury. Now, the next change was taking a left back off and putting a left back on. So that didn't make much difference. And ironically, when he took Veltman off, it's because Solomon was actually, saying to the bench, "I think I need to come off. Fatigue or whatever it will be, whatever it was, he's kind of indicated I need to come off." So he put Veltman on and he put Diouf as a left winger and Carl Walker-Peters as left back. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. That's not, he had to do what he had to do. That for me is not a manager who's saying, "Oh, we've got a 2-0 lead and drop back and all that." Unfortunately, we gave a bloody penalty away. That gave them the momentum. That gave them momentum to get back into the game. And it was a poor mistake by Scholes. He didn't have to go in it rashly, but I'm not going to criticize him. The absolute the amount of crap that our academy players have been getting from the fan base is astonishing on social media. Here we are, West Ham United fans going, "We need to give youth a chance. We should be playing all the youngsters. They're good enough and they're ready and they should be playing." So Nuno plays 2 midfielders from the academy. He plays a left back from the academy. And the minute they make a mistake, they're shit. Get them off. The pelters that poor old Scholes has been getting for the game yesterday because he gave away a penalty. I can't believe it. I cannot. I'm astonished. Kante has been getting a lot of criticism as well, and yet Mohamedou Kante has assisted in 2 goals in 2 games. He created the Solomon goal, and he also made the assist last week against Portsmouth for one of our goals. I don't get it, people. I really don't. We want our academy players, and yet we don't want our academy players. We want experienced players, and yet we don't want to buy experienced players. I don't understand what it is we're after. We're not in the Premier League anymore. Well, certainly not for now. So we're not going to go out and buy Premier League players, Premier League level, because they're not going to even want to come to West Ham United. Look at the Premier League prima donnas that we've got in the squad at this moment in time who don't want to be there. So what are you going to do? Go and try and persuade more prima donnas to come and play for West Ham United when they don't want to be there? I don't get it. So there's my analysis of what happened yesterday. I think the criticism levied at Nuno at times is correct. I think there are times when he has gone defensive minded, and I know we lost 20 leads last season, 20 games last season where we're in the lead, and then some of his defensive tactics, either lost us the game or we ended up drawing. Did that happen yesterday? No, is the honest truth. In my honest opinion, I don't think it did. I think we've become so acclimatized to as soon as Nuno makes changes, we've become so acclimatized to saying, "Oh, he's dropping deep. He's dropping deep. He's we're going to lose. We're trying to defend a 1-0 lead." I don't think he had any choices yesterday. I think he was really, really limited for the choices that he had. What I've said is, and I said this and the show I did when I came home last night, is once he's got the squad he needs, fingers crossed he gets, excuse me, fingers crossed he gets the squad he needs in order to have strength in depth, because we lack that. We lack strength in the first 11, let alone strength in depth. But once he gets the squad he needs, then we'll see what happens. If he's coming out in a press conference, post-match press conference, and saying we need more attacking players, what's that to do? So we can play him at right back, left back, and centre back, because we need options. We don't have the options. So if then he gets the players he needs and we start dropping back and trying to defend a 1-0 lead, I'll hold my hand up and go, you're all correct. I was wrong. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because there have been games where he's done just that, trying to defend a lead, and it didn't work. I don't think yesterday he really had much choice. I don't think yesterday he had any choice at all in the subs he could make. Sure, he could have brought on Josh Landers. Sure, he could have brought on Josh Ajala. Yeah, and see how it would have gone. But you got young and experienced players at a crucial moment in the game when we were 2-0 up, and then we give a penalty away. They get the momentum. You kind of saw it coming. You saw it coming. You know, the number of crosses and chances that they had. Fleming, I think we should have been 3-0 down in the first 20 odd minutes of the game. You know, so I know it hurts. I know it hurts because we were winning 2-0 and then we walked away with a draw. It really hurts because you could argue that we dropped 2 points there. But away from home, first game of the season with a depleted squad, no. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what happens this coming weekend when we play Charlton, when we have Engels in the team, when we have Pirro as an option as well. Hopefully, I don't think we will do it in time if we get someone else in. But Engels and Pirro coming in will make a big difference to the lineup. You know, having those two players in the lineup will make a difference. Now, people are saying, "Oh well, Pirro's only come in to replace Castellanos." Castellanos. Do you remember a player called Sebastian Haller not that long ago? Whenever he scored, he showed no emotion. He looked like he couldn't be asked. And yet he was a fucking good striker that we let go. That was Moyes letting him go. I think Castellanos is just one of those players where he just doesn't show a lot of emotion when he scores. Does he want to be in the Championship? No. We as fans don't want to be there. Nuno as a manager doesn't want to be there. The club doesn't want to be there. And the players don't want to be there. So what we'll have to do is fight really hard to get ourselves back in the Premier League at first time of asking. So that's my that's my summation of what happened yesterday. Pablo had an injury; he had to be replaced. Not a lot of options on the bench. James Ward-Prowse was the most experienced player that you could put on. The fault was trying to play him on the right hand side. I agree. I agree with that. And then Solomon wants to come off, and he was brought off. And again, not much choice. But you may have wanted one of the youngsters to come on, and maybe I'm wrong. You know, I'm not saying that I'm right. Andrew, I remember fans saying Alvarez was better than Rice on my days. I've got to be one that I thought, you know, that first season, I thought he was a bargain, but didn't work out that way. Where does 46 points get you at the end of the season? Probably just in the playoffs more than anything. Phil, anyone refusing to play should not be allowed anywhere near the training facilities and told to stay at home and stop their pay. I don't disagree. Pete, good evening to you. Don't pay him, play him in the reserves. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, but what's the circus now, though, Sam? You know, the circus is being run now by the players who seem to be bigger than the club. Colin, I'm wondering what is happening at the club now. The latest news I hear is Magassa and Kante. Forget the Kante thing. That is a complete load of absolute codswallop. And I think, in fairness to Gonzo, I think he said much the same thing as well when that came up on Claret and Hugh. Magassa, yeah, I've talked about him already. But the whole thing about Kante, a load of total hogwash. Andy, let's be fair, it's very rare to have players refuse to play, but seems to be a trend since Payet at our club. Alvarez at 6 would have won us the game. Yeah, the irony. he would have made a difference. Troj, this lot didn't make much effort as we went down. Tatty tried the hardest, and he's only just arrived. Completely agree with you. Cockney, good evening to you, mates. Difference in professionalism of Burnley's Fleming, who also wants to leave, to the numerous tossers in our squad. Couldn't give a shit. There you have it. There you have it. Fleming wants to leave, and he's trying to demonstrate how good he is to try and attract interest. If we sign Piero and get Wan-Bissaka, Fulkrug, and Todibo out the door, I see that as a great week. You know what, SNYT, I see that as a great week as well. I totally agree with you. Good evening to you, Christine. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Sean. I hope you're well. Mark, I wonder if a Saudi club will come in for Alvarez. Great. 60 mil? 65 mil? They seem to have money to burn. Well, they really do have money to burn. John, Stell, West Ham is all mixed up. We've all listened to the bullshit. We do, don't we? More, think we're going to need 2 midfielders then, considering Magassa and Alvarez pushing for a move, along with Pops already going and Souček temporarily injured. I kind of feel that too. Engels, maybe another. Sam, I don't blame Magassa. Nuno rarely played him. That's a fair comment. That's a fair comment. I think Magassa would have got a good run out this season, to be honest with you. I think looking at after 2-0, if we kept our attackers, just change it slightly, despite the bench being thin, we could have made the better calls. But there's the problem. Our attackers wanted to come off. Solomon was indicating to the bench, I need to come off. And Pablo, if you call him an attacker, had an injury. Matty, watch Potts play in Bruges opening game. He played well. Should have a good season. I'm gutted that he went. And I think West Ham United are probably thinking it was a big mistake. That it's all about the money, Steve. No loyalty. Why did we put ourselves through this? Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. Andrew, we should have made a clean break with Nuno after the Leeds game. Nothing has changed. I don't know if what I've said has convinced you otherwise, but what I will do is judge Nuno when this window shuts, and we have when this window shuts, and hopefully we have a squad worthy of being, not only filling the first 11, but also a decent squad on the bench. If Nuno then plays up and starts playing defensive minded, I will agree with you. At the moment, I cannot judge him. And I know fans are going, well, what about last season? What about last season? We still had some of the problems we've still got now with our squad. A lot of players not wanting to turn up, and look at Paqueta. Someone's just mentioned, there you go, Troj, reeks of Paqueta. We had the likes of Paqueta to deal with and all that sort of stuff. It's happening again, this time large scale rather than just the 1 or 2 players. Do forgive me. I'm trying to put as many comments as I can. Toha, as you know, there are more shark attacks off the coast of Ireland than around Australia these days. I've got no clue what you're talking about, but good evening to you, Toha. Essex Hammer, good evening to you. As much as I like Alvarez, he doesn't really owe us anything. He wasn't part of this mess that got us relegated, so we can sort of understand he's frustrated. That's fair comment as well. He didn't, but I thought maybe, just maybe, that it was a clean slate for him and Nuno. Couldn't blame Nuno for what happened last season because it wasn't Nuno that sent him out on loan. So I thought maybe there might be a clean slate there. John, no loyalty anymore with players. Too much money in the game. I totally agree. John, I was screaming to get rid of Paqueta for how long? And then he backstabbed us. There you go. But we got enough money for him. Kansas, I'm so sick of having players refusing to play. Seriously, teams should be able to sue players for breach of contract for this. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Sean, we'll stop playing them. I hear his younger brother Travis is coming through the ranks. Because it's so long ago you said that. I don't know you're mentioning who you're referring to. Frog, regardless if Nuno has problems with the squad or not, his in-game management is atrocious based on clear evidence. Fair enough. I'm not going to try and dissuade you otherwise. I really not. Cordua got the winner for Luton. I liked Cordua. I remember when I saw Cordua playing for the under-21s and we won the FA Youth Cup against Arsenal. Good leader, a good player. He was a quiet player, but he was a captain of the under-21s. What a shame we let him go. Stan, I drive you to Brentford myself. Horrific at defending. I will not cry over spilt milk if we sell Diouf. I will not cry. There are better. You guys have mentioned the Sheffield United player. There are better players out there without a doubt. Sean saw that Brendan nearly messaged Budgie. Don't understand, but I hope you're well, Sean. Chris, a squad losing 50% wages, except for one, is never going to be harmonious. I'm still questioning whether Jared Bowen has had his wages halved. I think what's happened with Jared Bowen and possibly one or two others is this. He went over to Prague, spoke to Kretinsky, etc. I think Kretinsky would have probably said to him, look, you know, with the new rules coming in, squad cost ratio, etc., we've got no choice but to reduce everyone's wages to 50%. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. If we get promoted, you'll get a fat bonus. Probably near enough the equivalent of what he may have lost Bowen in wages. That's how I think it's going to work. So I don't know. I'm still not convinced. We'll never know, but I'm still not convinced Bowen is the only player to have had his wages kept in full. I know people are saying, "Oh, it's in his contract, etc." I'm not so sure. Jack, I hope these players who don't want to play are forfeiting their wages. I wish, but unfortunately, it seems that we can't. Any good news? Yeah, Pirro. I think Pirro is good news. I'm serious. I really do. I think we're clearly going to see, at the very least, one change to the lineup this coming Saturday with Engels coming in. And I think Pirro coming in, he could well play. If Pablo is injured as well, he could well play Pirro and Castellanos up front. I think we'll see a very different team on Saturday. Andrew, rumors are we only have 40 million. It's true. They can only see loans and bargain. But already we've smashed that. We've paid 22 million for Engels, and Pirro is going to. All right, he's coming on loan, so that's only going to be a few million or whatever. But we've still got business to do. I don't think there is. I think this 40 million. I don't know where that's come from. Randy. Mark, we need a lot. I genuinely hope we have the right profiles added and correct positions while sorting the pace and creativity. I think things can change. Nuno's in-game management must change. If he's got the players, must change. I agree. Hermansen is dodge, but he is our number one keeper. Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, Bow Mitchell. Get rid of anyone who doesn't want to play for the club and badge and put them in the reserves. Absolutely, Jack. So we need to get rid of about 7 or 8 players who don't wish to play that we paid £160 million for. That's about the nub of it, mate, unfortunately. Michael, at the old ground, you could tell the players who you think were standing. You could tell what the players would. You could tell the players what you think standing in the chicken run. Absolutely, they were close by. Essex, no point giving Nuno money to spend. He will only ruin players' He will only ruin players' careers by playing them in wrong positions or by keeping them out of the team. We could give Nuno Messi and he would ruin him. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna tell people they're right or wrong. It's your opinions. I don't think that's right, but I'm not saying that you're wrong there, Essex. Sean, Burrow's not even best left back at Sheffield United. Got no pace. Sam McCullum is much quicker and better. Trotch, only the Swedish winger looked like a good scouting target. That is Alspo, was it? What teams he played for? Alspo, I've forgotten. But we got we're interested in Daniel Job. He's playing for a Norwegian club, and we're looking at Alspo as well. But no updates on either of them. Kansas, if Nuno continues to screw up, get Craig Bellamy in. High tempo, high energy. Rob, Alvarez and Magassa, 100 grand a week saved. Don't play them. Even more than that. Between them, they're on about 160 grand a week, 150, 160 grand a week. Yeah. Money for old rope. Michael, this feels like an endemic moving through the club of players wanting to leave. It's a shame that we have to deal with it because we all thought that certain players were definitely going to leave, but more players being added to that is a bit concerning. Let's scroll down. Who else do we have here? Higgins, good evening to you. There's always a smell around Todibo that we managed to get him over those massive clubs. Reckon they knew he was a mental case. So really good point. Andrew, I think Kieran McKenna would be an astute appointment. He has a high ceiling and is available. Yeah, I think we're not going to see a managerial change for a few months yet. If we start off really, really badly, I don't think you're going to see a managerial change to probably October, November time. Yeah. The one thing about Kretinsky is you see how many managers he got through at Sparta Prague. He won't tolerate fools. If he thinks that Nuno's not doing the job, he will get rid of him. But I think it will be maybe October, November before we even start honestly thinking about any managers coming in place of Nuno. Dark Star. But then again, even if they do go on the pitch, they won't play their best, as is the case with Diouf. Diouf looked like he couldn't even be bothered to be there. Steve, new season, same old shambles. We should have sorted all this weeks back. Just poor from top to bottom again. Again, who's to blame for that? This whole thing with the whole shares issues hasn't helped one bit. Jamie, no play, no pay. If they want out, they go for our price or they form a bomb squad and rot. Absolutely. Move over Nuno, stealth manager. I don't want that hassle, mate. Trust me. Thank you very much, but I would not be any good. I'd be a lot worse. We'd be at the bottom of the league. Richard, good evening to you. Unfortunately, I get why people want out. They all signed the Premier League dream. I agree that if they have a contract, they should play. Still think Tati will be gone by the end of the window. I hope not. I hope you're wrong. I really hope not. James, give Nuno 10 or 12 games and then see where we're at. With Howe out there and Staveley, who knows what will happen. I'm going to tell you now. I'm gonna suggest that you need to forget about Amanda Staveley. I really do. I think I was asked what's happening with all the shares issues, etc. The preemption process is happening as we speak. Kretinsky's not letting go. Kretinsky is finding a way to make sure that he gets as many of those shares as possible. As I mentioned several weeks ago, the first stage of preemption, Kretinsky is eligible for 9% of the 25%. He will buy those. And then it's all down to who else in the current shareholders are going to want to buy some shares as well. I thought maybe Trip Smith maybe wanted to. We know Sullivan's not interested. The other lower level shareholders are probably not interested as well. So if it's only Kretinsky going through to the second stage of the preemption process, he gets to buy the whole lot. He gets to buy all the shares. And then that means goodbye, Amanda Staveley. Now, to keep it alive, end of last week, the story goes that Amanda Staveley has promised that she's going to buy the London Stadium and rebuild it. That's such a load of bollocks. I'm sorry to say, sorry to drop this on you, but it really, because the London Stadium, those who run the LLC, who run the London Stadium, have put in a bid in, put in a request in. I don't know what it is, a request in with the local council to run more events at the stadium. Because now that Brady's gone, they've got someone who's willing to speak to them on their turn, on their level, try and get an understanding. I did this. This was part of the show last Monday night, where the London Stadium believe that they can make money out of this stadium. But making money out of the stadium is running more events, like primarily more concerts rather than sporting events. But running concerts, it's a lot quicker to convert the stadium from a concert stadium to a footballing stadium. Doesn't cost them as much money. And if they run more events, they think that they can actually, at the very least, break even. Their plans are that they want to do more at the stadium. They're not selling the stadium. They're not interested in selling the stadium. And apparently, the story last week was that Sadiq Khan would be interested in talking about selling the stadium for 50 mil. And then some people said 50 mil, even though they're losing money, 50 mil is nothing, which kind of is correct. So this whole thing with Staveley and the stadium and all that sort of stuff, I think we've got to, I might be wrong. No, I don't know any details. I don't know any background or etc. I'm no in the know, but I might be wrong. But I get a feeling that the stadium's not going to be sold. Staveley's not coming, and Kretinsky then can get on and do what he was intending to do in the first place with his club. David, before West Ham sold Fernandes, West Ham already had a thin squad, so that rate we need. Now, at that rate, we now need 10 players for the squad. Squad did have 9 academy players. Yeah, no way we will get 10 more players. If we get another 1, 2, 3, 4 on top of Veltman, Solomon, Engels, so that'd be 7 in total. And then some of the academy players to fill in as well. Andrew, sell Kilman if we get a decent offer. He's just not good enough. Panic for their second goal. Couldn't get the bloody ball away. Typical that. Vinay, good evening to you. Solomon said something to the effect, we can't retain possession when ahead. Solomon said something to the effect, we can't retain possession when ahead. I don't understand the meaning of that. We don't know how to retain possession when ahead, or we mustn't retain possession when ahead. Sorry, Vinay, I don't know which meaning that is. Ibrahim, good evening to you. Randy, good to see everyone saying hello to each other. That's good. Gary, good evening to you. Why buy players for a manager who's not going to be here in a couple of months? Well, we don't know that, and we've got to deal with what the here and now. We need players before this transfer window shuts. We need players in, whatever manager it may be moving forward. Dark Star. Apparently, we're after this young guy called Job, who plays in the Norwegian Second League, and there he is, Daniel Job. The interest in him, about £4 million to get it over the line. So let's see if that deal actually happens or not. Randy, Engels is more of a number 8. I still think we need another 10. I don't disagree with that. An 8 and maybe another 10. I don't disagree with that at all. Alistair, are they in breach of contract refusing to play if they're fit? If so, dock their wages. Well, this is the thing. When I asked, I was told all they'll do if we try and dock their wages is they'll just feign injury. They say, I'm injured. And then, their contract will say, you've still got to pay a player if he says he's injured. The irony, that it's just such a shit way. Sam, we're a team that doesn't know how to control a game, know when to slow it down when the pressure is put on us. So hopefully with the players coming in, that's going to give us that ability to do that. Michael, this internal board disruption is affecting the transfer plan. I agree with you. I think that's true. Troj did Macaulay. Macaulay did well for us by signing players with resale and good age. Absolutely, I agree. And I'm expecting, hopefully, Niels Coppen to do the same with some of the signings coming up. Ibrahim Parrott wasn't very impressive at Preston. There you go. So am I disappointed that I remember when the rumour came out about Parrott and I said, this is the third summer in a row we've been linked to Troy Parrott. Don't be surprised if we do not sign him. Sam, is Alvarez staying then or not? I think quite possibly he's going. But let's see what happens. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong about the story that's broken earlier today. It's not my story. All I do is just repeat what's out there. And I hope I'm wrong that Alvarez has refused to play. But that's my understanding of it. And if I am wrong and he's only got an injury, then I expect him to see in the starting lineup this coming Saturday against Charlton. Solomon and Orford. Sean, I think Kante played all right, despite the stick he got. Still young players learning their trade. Not brilliant, but you don't want both on the pitch at the same time. You either want Orford or Kante and not both at the same time at this moment in time in their careers. Solomon looked fantastic, to be quite honest with you. I think he looked really, really decent. Michael, question, is Nuno trying to get sacked or are the players in a PSTD mood from last season, repeating that they lose a lead? I don't think Nuno's trying to get sacked. But do you know what? You know what's interesting? I wonder what's going to happen at the end of the window if Nuno doesn't get the players he wants. Would he walk? Would Nuno say, this isn't what I was told? This isn't what I was led to believe was going to happen. Maybe Nuno might say, it's not for me. He might walk. Randy, Dark Star, it feels like West Ham saw what Pirro and Solomon did at Leeds and probably hope they replicate the partnership with us. Plus, he has championship experience. Whether it's right, not sure. I think it is right. I think, if they can replicate what both players did at Leeds United, I think that stands in good stead for us. SNY, Engels should be used for the pressure of expecting to win every game, having played for Celtic. He should be accustomed to the pressure. Absolutely. Michael, when the way Diouf looked and carried himself when he came on made me think he thought he was on his way out of the club. I agree, totally agree. Higgins, Pirro is an amazing injury record too. Cue him breaking down in the first game. Sam, we need so many players in. The squad just isn't good enough. David, Landers was a backup striker yesterday. Nuno didn't play him. Surprise, surprise. Is that why we need someone like Vardy with experience last minute, 10 minutes of the game? Listen, like I've said, Pirro is about to come through. If we get Vardy in and he's a third choice backup, fuck it. I'll take that. We're all day long. Coming on for the last 5-10 minutes, running the defence ragged. Why not? I'm not saying that Vardy's the future, but Vardy knows where the goal is. Vardy knows how to play the game. Vardy's a dirty bastard that you would actually love to have for the last 10, 15 minutes of a game, to really put it at them, the opposition defenses. And when Nuno said in the post-match press conference, we need more attacking players, maybe that's the kind of player he's talking about. I don't want Vardy as the only option, but if Pirro comes in, we keep Castellanos and Vardy comes in as well as a third option. Why not? Why not? Gregory, whose job was it to sit the squad down and ask who was on for the season? That should have been settled at the World Cup at the latest. Yeah, fair point. And I dare say, well, you remember what Kretinsky said some time back. All the key players we wanted were messaged. Maybe some players didn't get the message and they're not happy. Jack, gone are the days of loyalty. It's all mercenary now. Martin, having Pirro, Tati, Bowen is all very well, but unless we change to attack-minded football, we cannot maximise their potential. Nuno, Kretinsky, out. Jamie, Nuno tactics to get sacked. I hope Coppin is planning on a style and squad that doesn't need a reset. Well, this is it. The reason why we now got a director of football recruitment is that if Nuno does go, the players that we're getting in should be easily managed by any manager. Then not picking on. Maybe Nuno doesn't like that. I don't know. Andrew, we've made the same mistake keeping Nuno like we did with Potter. I would have sacked him after the Newcastle debacle. Keeping him will cost us, in my opinion. Green Street, Hammer Green Street, good evening to you. Troy Parrott has never impressed me over the years. How many West Ham have watched him? Not as many as they are screaming for him. Jordan James for 10 million, no-brainer. Has he not gone to Wolves yet? Has he not been signed by Wolves? Is he still available? Daniela, there are a lot of clubs still in the same position as we are with transfers and some in a worse position. Dark Star, why can't Kilman just get it right? He scores a good header, then miskicks a clearance for Burnley's second goal. What's wrong with him? Let's see, what did that say? Randy, two strikers. Okay, Pirro and Vardy. Central attacking midfielder, I don't disagree. A left winger, a backup left winger, yes. Backup right winger, we might get one, not two. Central defensive midfielder, not sure we'll get one. And left back if Diouf goes, and centre back, I think that should be okay. Yeah, I agree with most of those. Let's scroll down. Who else do we have? Frog, what a business. The employees say they're not interested and still get a pay packet. What could ever go wrong? I wish I had a job like that. I really do. You doing any work today still? Nah, you know what? I can't be asked. But you will pay me, won't you? Steve, Nuno trying to get sacked with bad substitutions. Alvarez trying to get sent off and refusing to play. Actually, when I look at last week's game now, the way Alvarez was diving in, was he trying to get sent off? I didn't hear anything about Nuno signing a new contract. No, he didn't. But I think everyone at the club has been, everyone at the club has got a clause that their wages go down by 50% if we get relegated. Kevin, Mitchell Marsden reported he just bought a house in Chigwell. Who just bought a house in Chigwell? Who are you talking about? You need to tell me further down, Kevin, mate. Let's scroll down. Barry, Bruges will sell Potts back to us for 25 mil. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Paul, if it was a digital sale for Potts, maybe we'd get 30 days to change our minds, return any monies and get Potts back. Michael, do you know they rewarded Nuno for getting relegated? Thought he was just on his current contract. Did they reward him? I don't know about that. I think Nuno is on the same. I don't know what agreements they have made, but I think Nuno will be on the same promise as Bowen is. Get us back up, you get a big bonus. More, give me a sec. I'll double check as someone on either Hammers Chat or West Ham Fan TV said that. I don't know who you're talking about. You're going to have to refresh. Give me the comments again further down because I don't know what you're referring to. Luch, good evening to you. Or Luce, good evening to you. Very worried about Nuno's in-game management. We need a smart manager, not just good players. Who else have we got here? Let's scroll down. How far behind am I? You lot chat an awful lot tonight, don't you? Colin, I love it though, so thank you for doing so. Still, I would say we need another 5 players, 1 more striker to go with Pirro, 1 central defensive midfielder, 1 centre-back, 2 wingers, right wing, left wing, cover. And if right about Kante could go for another, it's not right about Kante. Kante is going nowhere. Trust me, people. We're not selling Kante. Epic. Fulkrug is going to have his medical at Werder Bremen tomorrow. Absolutely. Mentioned that earlier on. Jack Pablo still hasn't scored a goal. He may chase and work hard, but is expecting more from 20. Oh, we all were. But here's the irony. Pablo comes off and we look like a very different team. We look like we weren't in control of that game. More. Also, I can't see anything on a Nuno contract. God knows who said that. If he really has less than a season on his contract, current contract, I'll pay him off now. Kenneth, any players who refuse to play, don't play them. Simple. I wish it was like that. Gone are the days where you could do that. True. Choose one of them. Alvarez sounds ideal and starts fining him, banning him from the training ground, and an example to others. Luce, who is our Rice replacement? Someone to get a grip of the game when we're under the cosh. We don't have one. We haven't had one for a while. Run with the pack. Good evening to you from America. Good evening, mate. Thank you for joining over there. I see our starting 11 class of championship, but injuries might tank the season. That's why we need more players in. I totally agree. Chrissy, I don't think our players are too loud because they think they are playing in a quiet library. It's not very quiet these days. It's good atmosphere in the London Stadium. Kansas, get Harwood Bellis in when we get the Tadibo money. Will they sell to us, though? Kelly, I hope Tati drops back into Pablo's role. He's aggressive and will suit sitting behind a natural number 9. Good evening, Adam. Watch Middlesbrough v Lincoln on Saturday. First 40 minutes, Lincoln bombarded the Borough box with crosses and corner after corner. Yesterday, we looked so fallible on crosses. Worry how we would deal with that, which is why we need a good, solid central midfield, central defender to come in. Absolutely agree, mate. Run with the pack. Best thing that this club can do is get players that want to stick for the club. Pablo gets flack, but I would rather have him or players like Fornals who are willing to work for the club. That's a good point. I apologise. I don't swear. My apologies. I let out a couple of Fs tonight, so I do apologise for that. Mr. Turner, good evening to you. Reality of it all, we're in the Championship, not a Premier League team. We need positivity and to get behind the team. We need to be the 12th man more than ever. Totally and utterly agree with you there. Who else have we got? Darkstar. I read that Engels could be West Ham what Nevers was to Wolves. That's what I read anyway. I read that. And if he's half as good, we've got a very good player. Twix, good evening to you. Birmingham fan, laughing at your predicament and horrible stadium. Up the Blues. Well, thank you for coming on and having making a comment. And I hope we smash you when we meet you. Kelly, I was really impressed with Solomon. He's what us fans want to see, direct with pace, trickery, and goals. Andrew, when will scouts earn their money? Who scouted Devonshire? Maybe we get that Pearl the diver out of retirement. I don't know. I think our transfers have been all right so far, to be quite honest with you. I went over them earlier on. I think our transfers haven't been too bad. I think Veltman, a good experienced player in defence. I think that's good. I think Solomon coming in, he looks really good. I want to see Engels play. I think him coming in looks really good as well. And I've completely forgotten who the other player is that we've signed. But so far, I actually think the players that we've got in aren't really that bad. Abraham, do you really believe it's going to turn into Marinakis all of a sudden? Who are we talking about? Kretinsky? No, but I bet he had a plan. Marinakis splashes the cash like there's no tomorrow. Jim, why did Kretinsky not buy the 16% as said? I assume that's what the transaction did not take place. Then people representing goals said they're up for sale. Well, by the sounds of it, from what I understand from the information I've been given, Kretinsky thought that the deal had been done. And all of a sudden, Staveley came along and offered more money. So unless something is signed, which it seems that it wasn't, it was an agreement, but nothing was signed, then Staveley, Gold had every right to go and look for another buyer. But I think from what I understand, from what I've been told, Kretinsky and Sullivan, don't forget him, all thought that the deal had been done, and it wasn't. Luce, yes, Pablo disrupts, but that's all he does. Needs a bit more to deserve a place in the team. Don't disagree. I absolutely agree with you there. Run with the pack. How would you juggle with the academy players? We're trying to get promoted this season. I would have the academy players in the squad, the ones that are really, the likes of Skulls, the likes of Orford, the likes of Kante, but they need to be players who are not starting every game. You need experience around them, and make sure that they get enough game time, but not relying on them to start. That's how you get them, to learn the trade and, come on, a good 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, etc. I don't think for a second that Nuno was expecting to start so many youngsters in the first game of the season for West Ham United in the Championship. I don't think he was, to be honest. Zanussi, good evening, mate. What did Hermansen do with his feet v Burnley? He does basic 5-yard passes, then launches aimlessly upfield. Still waiting for a save like Areola can pull off. Everyone keeps telling me he's a better distributor of the ball. I don't think he is. Brian, Is there a chance that Bowen goes if we don't sign quality replacements? He'll stay for the season, but if we don't go up, he'll be off at the end of the season. Simple as that. Stephen, the struggle between Kretinsky and Staveley is about the land, and West Ham are caught in the middle. I did all this. I totally agree with you. I really don't, until we hear more, I really don't want to keep covering. I'm not meaning you, Stephen, but I don't keep having to repeat. I've done about 4 shows, I think, about the whole Staveley Kretinsky situation, and 2 of those were definitely about land grab. I totally agree. That's all it's about. Sam, I love him, but Bowen has been poor for too long now. He's on the decline, which is why I said that I think he's better off in the middle, and buy a younger wide player who does the running. To be honest, I kind of do agree. Dark Star, a player when they get start getting a bit older, they do change positions, don't they? Play more centrally or something like that. And I think Bowen would thrive playing as a number 10. Dark Star, Kilman should be more confident in this league. Why does he panic so much? He makes Mavropanos panic as well. Yeah, I agree. Mark, is this new signing, Piero, honestly any better than Nicholas Fulkrug? Yes, mate. I'll go over his stats again, shall I? Let me just read them out to you. His stats in the Championship. 179 appearances, 73 goals. Golden Boot winner in the 24-25 season, scoring 19 league goals when Leeds won promotion. That is more than enough for me. Much better than Nicholas Fulkrug. Michael, we're not going to strengthen adequately in this window. Think we may have to wait until January. Hopefully this disruption in the boardroom will be solved to free up the funds. Well, it'll be resolved. And this is why I think it's such bad timing. Because if they'd have just waited for the transfer window to shut, then start all these shenanigans with the shares, then you've got September, October, November to sort it all out. And then, enough time in between to then come to the January window so that doesn't get disrupted as well. That's why I think it's just totally out of order that we've, this has happened. And I can't blame Kretinsky on that. Who do you blame? I don't know. Well, maybe I can. Maybe, as someone said earlier on, why didn't Kretinsky close the deal for the 16% shares he wanted off Gold, and then it would have been done? For all we know, it could have been Vanessa Gold who held that deal up rather than Kretinsky. Michael, we lack options, but team is better than any other in the Championship. We'll soon find out there, mates. Let's scroll down. Let's try and get more comments in. Jim, agree that we have to temper our criticism of the academy players. Otherwise, we will lose them like we did in the past. Yeah, criticize, but my goodness, some of it has been awful. Shame Scarves is getting loads of flack, James, but he's a young lad still learning. I'd have him over anyone who don't want to be with us. Yeah. He's West Ham through and through. He's going to play with his heart on his sleeve. Paul, Bowen should have stayed in his position and Ward-Prowse in the middle. I agree. I don't disagree with that. Instead, let them dictate an attack. However, the senior players at the back should have been able to see the game out. Agree with that too. Matty, agree with your comments on Nuno'S. Still, the current squad has massive holes. Nuno'S hands are tied. Let's see where we are on the 1st of September. Then I'll start judging Nuno. Once that transfer window's shut and we see what we've got, if he's got the attacking players that he wants and he continues to play defensive, then I will go, Nuno, you've got to change it, mate, or you've got to go. Victor, Kretinsky not put any money in as down to the shares. Listening to Andy Payne, who did an interview on the West Ham Way, said, why would Kretinsky put money when he doesn't know? Exactly that. I said that ages ago. Why would you, if you're Kretinsky at this moment in time is not a bigger shareholder. He's got only 27% of the shares. So he's not got outright ownership of the club. So if you've got someone coming in being bullish and going, I'm buying the club out, I want to buy you all out, etc., and you're Kretinsky going, hang on a minute, my 27% is in danger here. I'm being threatened. So of course you're not going to put money in. Why would you? Why indeed would you? You've got to make sure that you secure your stakehold, which is what he's doing in the first stage of the preemption process, putting in the look. If Kretinsky actually doesn't put a bid in to buy any of the Gold shares in the first stage of the preemption process, he's gone, I don't care, and Staveley will come in. But my understanding is Kretinsky is going to fight this. He's going to buy the number of shares he's eligible for in the first stage, and then once he knows he's secure, then he'll pump money into this club. But it'll be too late. The transfer window will be shut. Ben, just joined. How's it going? Are we talking about how Nuno made the same mistake for the 10th time since the start of last season? We've covered it, mate. But I don't know how long you joined. I'm sure you heard me talking about it, but let me know if you haven't. John, sorry, needing a goalkeeper. Don't trust who we have. I agree. Well, I would play Areola, but he's clearly, if we get a price for him, he's going as well. But I'm worried about Hermansen. I don't think he's good enough. DJ Bombjack, good evening to you. 1 in 10 males have an IQ less than 80. Most supporters are male, hence negative attitudes towards our academy players in social media. 1 in 10. I don't know if you made that up or if that's true, but thank you for that, mate. Who's this? B Gaines, good evening to you. Diouf was talking about playing for a top club eventually when he first joined us. Who says that? You're wearing a West Ham shirt. Yeah, well, mate, he thinks he's a top player. Ekim, good evening to you. Or Ekim, good evening to you. Stel is defending the indefensible. Good on him. His passion is great, but Nuno is risk averse. I'm not defending. I've said it. I've lost count now. If Nuno gets the players he wants in the squad, and after the window closes, if he continues with his tactics of like not playing the attacking players he's got available to him, I will agree with you all. I promise I will. I promise I will. Run with the pack. I never understand keepers that are good with feet. All I care about is saves. Bingo. I agree with that many times. Whenever everyone kept telling me he's a better goalie than Areola, Hermansen, I'm like, is he? I don't think he is. Yeah, he's really good at distributing the ball. I don't give a flying F how good he's distributing. Of course it matters, but I care more about how good he is at saving the ball. I'm with you there, Run with the pack. Absolutely. Hayden, good evening to you. Premier League prima donnas that played so well. We're in the Championship. If they had any pride or loyalty, they play to get us back in the Premier League. Piss them all off. I totally agree. Oh, let's get rid of that. Excuse me. Ban the user and delete their comments. Thank you very much. Who else have we got here? Run with the pack to Ben. Yeah, starting 11 good, but there's absolutely no depth. That was my read with Nuno's subs. No depth. That's what I think. Absolutely. Kansas. Moyes broke strikers with a half-decent manager would have a good tune out of both Skamaka and Haller. Mate, you're singing from the same hymn sheet. I totally agree with you. Absolutely. Haller, when he left, I was devastated. I really was. I was absolutely devastated. And it's a shame that Haller, but he preferred Antonio. There you are. There you go. Ben, if not mentioned already, we'll say Piero is a great signing. Absolutely mentioned, mate. Best mate supports Swansea. Watch him a lot. He was so good for them. So good for Leeds. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree with you, Ben. I think he's an astute signing. Let's worry about if we get promoted. We'll worry about whether he can do a Premier League stint or not next season. Let's just worry about getting out of the league right now. Michael, be good to have a right winger to deputise for Bowen, who looks off the pace. I agree with you there. I agree with you there. I've done it. Run with the pack. I've gotten rid of those comments. So my apologies. Who else have we got here? Victor. It says a lot about our squad when Kilman and Ward-Prowse, who didn't get anywhere near the first team last season, are now being picked. Nuno has got no other options. We know what we need in this transfer market. We know what we need. Run with the pack. I watched Alvarez all the time with Mexico. He frequently would have bad mistakes and frequently put the bad team in bad positions. So I'm upset at how it's happening. I'm not upset that he's going. I've done the hit the ban button. Thank you, guys. Because I'm so far down, I'm still like 20 minutes away from catching up with your comments. That's why it's taken so long to ban that particular individual. Johnny, as a footballer's worst nightmare must be to be signed by so-called coaches like Moyes and Nuno, completely destroyed their souls. I've no faith in Nuno. Let's see. Like I said, I'll hold judgment until we've got this transfer window shuts. Josh, need more channels like you still. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Don't always agree with you, but you give a level assessment. 90% of channels play off our fan base's natural negativity. I could do that. Be easy too. I'm just not that way. I'm just not that way inclined. I totally respect other people's opinions. Totally. And you can see where I stand. I try to sort of like find the good in everything. I'm not right all the time. I've done it. I blocked the spanner. So forgive me for taking so long. I don't always get it right. You're not always going to agree with me. But what I like is the fact that we can, sometimes agree to disagree. You give me your views. Sometimes I'll read someone's opinion. I go, why didn't I think of that? and it makes me think in a completely different way. That's being open-minded, and you guys are open-minded enough to hear what I've got to say, which I really, really appreciate. So I thank you for that. But that's why I give you the platform. I'm never going to dismiss what someone says about the club, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent comments, because that's what you think. I'm not here to persuade you otherwise. So thank you for that, mate. PW, Alvarez has always been a liability. He can't control his temper. I won't miss him. Josh, I think if it was hard fought, that 2-2 wouldn't have hurt so bad. That's true. If we were like losing and then coming back and drawing 2-2, we would have gone, that was a great point. But it was exactly the same as every game we dropped points last season, and that's what's so disappointing. And I get that. Sorry, guys, the adverts are gone. I hope there's no more of them, but I got rid of the idiot that just was. I don't know how many more there were, but I've got rid of them. Pitch, good evening to you. Diouf not even close to top 10 left backs we have. Bloke shows zero effort when he came on the other day. He absolutely did show no effort. If you're new to the channel, hit that QR code, takes you to the subscription page. Become a subscriber. Why not? If you're enjoying the content. Malazima, good evening to you. It's kind of funny we expect so much with this thin squad. Yeah, it's a thin squad and we expect so much. Good point. Kansas. Actually, a lot of Leeds fans were raving about Pirro. I think he's a good player. Look, let's get this into perspective. He's a good championship player. We're not in the Premier League. We're in the Championship. So I think he'll be a good buy for us. Randy, Trudge, 15 mil that came from TalkSport. No one else has reported on the release clause. Who's that for, mates? What did Trudge say? Don't know. Jamie, the youth need mentoring. They're just thrown into the deep end, but Potter screwed us with his purge. Good point. I totally agree with that as well. Absolutely agree. CC, I'll reserve judgment till the international break. See where we are then. Fair play. Who else have we got here? Oops. Let's scroll down. Josh. No West Ham United fan thinks we're getting auto promotion. It's playoff at best. I reckon we get 8 purely to 10 purely on Nuno'S tactics. The media is peddling West Ham United domination. None of us believe that. And we only start believing it if once the transfer window shuts, we see what kind of squad we've got, and then we will know what kind of tactics Nuno will use. And then it'll give us a much better idea where we're at. Mark, we should make contact with Elvin. He'll be a star. Boom, boom. Kelly, which shows he has the players, he can do the job. I don't know what Kelly said. Do forgive me. I know you bounce off each other, which is great. But then when I put the comments up, I've got no clue what you're on about. But that shouldn't stop you. Trudge, Moyes was a much better manager, but he refused to sign back up for Antonio. Yeah, he sure did. Josh, I reckon if we're to lose badly to Millwall, he'll be sacked. The fan base will be enraged. His position will be untenable. Interesting. Yeah. Michael, we need more people on the signing of players. It takes time to negotiate a good transfer, and we don't have enough time. Agree. Soylent, good evening to you. Everyone's blocked you now, so you're talking to yourself. He's gone. Is he still there in the background? Because I can't see him on my screen anymore. So if he's got, I do apologize. If you're still seeing him, I apologize. I've blocked him. He should be banned, actually. So he shouldn't be able to make any more comments. Randy, Andrew, issue is they don't watch West Ham week in, week out. Plus, they have seen holes in the squad. So they go on fact. We have the parachute payment of £40 million after losing over £100 million in TV money. You know, going to make some difference, but not a lot, is it? Frog, I don't get the frustration. Anyone would think he keeps managing to lose when we are winning. Coventry lost 7-0. Oh, sorry, Coventry lost 7. I thought Premier League ain't started yet. Coventry lost seven players. Luce, is it Luce or Luca? Luce. Is the plan that Nuno is suboptimal, but still good enough to get us promoted with the highest value squad in the Championship? On the evidence of yesterday, it's not a foregone conclusion. Look, I want to finish in the top 2. Every West Ham fan wants to. Will I be upset if we finish in the playoffs? Miffed. I'll be miffed if we finish in the playoffs. I'll be livid if we don't even do that. So I think we're going to make it at the very least to the playoffs. It's not a given, but I think we'll make it at the very least in the playoffs. And then it's down to cup finals, isn't it? Really, every game's a cup game after that. Essex, do you think there's a chance Nuno could play Orford, Kante, and Engels in the middle? I think maybe not. I think I think it's either Kante or Orford, not both, because now we've also got to fit in Piero when he comes. We've also got to fit in Solomon, who's here already. So no is the answer. I think it'll be middle, Orford, maybe not. I think it'll be Kante and Engels in the middle, and then you'll have Solomon out wide, Bowen out the other width, and then you've got Piero and I wish I put a chart up. Piero and Castellanos in the middle. That's what I think. It'll be almost a 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1. So no, I don't think it'll be both Kante and Engels and Orford. I think it'll be Kante or Orford. And at this moment in time, probably Kante and Engels. That does leave a bit of a hole, though, for a defensive midfielder to fill. Pitch, Stabley is all hype, says our fan base. Still says our fan base needs to stop following the media narrative. You do have to stop following the media narrative. Look, if she arrives, I think all very well. I keep questioning, though, consortium. We still don't have any details of a consortium. You know, we hear about this American-based company. That's only part of it. Who's in this consortium that she's talking about? Because she's not being very open-minded about it. And as said earlier on, it's a land grab. It's all about the land, nothing more than that. How far behind am I? Catching up, but not fast enough. Let's scroll down. Gary, it's just one game. Let's see where we're at after 10. Then we can criticize manager and players. Well said, mate. No, I totally agree with that. It's too early to talk about, criticizing players and manager. Johnny, I don't think the stadium will go anywhere. The Athletics have in for 2029 champion, a bid in for the 2029 championships to be held there. Yeah, and I talked about that in a show several weeks ago as well. PW. Mark Noble was brilliant at protecting a lead and controlling the game. We could have done with him on the sidelines on Saturday. Seegers, good point, but he doesn't want to be manager. Seegers, it's not just one game though, Gary. He's doing the same thing that got us relegated. He shouldn't even be here. Foxes, what will happen is Nuno will have a full squad to play with, go 2-0 up and go defensive and lose or draw. Lee, he threw a tantrum last season, played an awful midfield, lost many matches, bloody dry lunch. Who threw a tantrum last season in midfield? Oh, mate, I'm sorry. I'm so far behind. I don't know who you mean. Pitch. Parrott and Piero would be good partnership with Long John Silver playing in behind. Randy, if Pablo is available for Charlton, then it would be more tactical reasons for the Burnley game. Don't like players getting injured, but if Pablo was injured at that moment in time, then it was forced. Yeah, my understanding is he felt his calf, I think it was. And it depending on how serious it is, he may be available for Saturday. Luce, has anyone watched Vardy recently? Certainly a great player in his day, but if he was still fit, someone else would be in for him. Apparently, he was highly praised when he played in Italy last season. Joe, the squad has no pace in midfield. There's been a problem for too long. Get some pace in there. I agree with that as well. Gary, the Championship is a very difficult league to get out of. Cardiff away, Sheffield United, Wolves, Middlesbrough, Swansea, all ex-Premier League teams scrapping for the gold. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Michael, if Nuno is replaced, then he will have to fit the manager for the players available. We should be deciding what style of football we play. Well, this is why Niels Koppen is in order to get players in that are, a manager could come in and just coach. So that's why we're going for, we're no longer... Nuno, it's very evident now, because we thought some weeks ago that Nuno and the agent, gone, his name's gone, the Portuguese agent, Mendes, there you go. We all thought Nuno and Mendes were going to be dominating the transfer market. They're not. Nuno's not getting any players in from Mendes at this moment in time. He's totally reliant on Niels Koppen to get the players that we need in. So it's interesting. We're moving away from that reliance on the manager. We're trying to get a transfer policy in that the players you get in should be able to be managed by any manager. Pitch. People blaming Nuno and want him out. Let the guy get rid of the deadwood who don't want to play for us, and then judge him. I agree, Lee. Should have put Pablo on the same contract as Wilson. He'd be playing for nothing. Yeah, too late now. D. Scott. Anyone notice how many of our academy players are playing in this league? Afolayan, Trott, Coventry, Thomas, Cullen, Mabama, and more. Need to give our youngsters a chance in this year. You know what? Good shout. Yeah, that's quite a few. Good shout. Kev. Good evening to you. Signed Disarzi to play alongside Mavropanos. Also need an outstanding goalkeeper. Hermansen not good enough. Give Areola his chance. Without signings, we ain't going up. And that is fact. Colin, Devonshire was actually scouted by John Lyle himself. And in the same match was the greatest Cyril Regis. Darren. Don't think we can be judged as a team squad yet. Once the window closes and the squad will be here for the season, then we can start complimenting or complaining about them. Absolutely correct. I totally agree with you there. Makiri, good evening to you. Nuno's Wolves scored 82 goals, conceded 39, accumulated 99 points, and is still considered one of the best championship sides ever. But they did have some class players there. And maybe Nuno is pissed off at the fact that he's got not class players. Yet. Big Ains, the propaganda that goes on in this club promises now and in the past. It's always jam tomorrow. How much revenue will West Ham get with 50,000 season ticket holders signing on? A lot, but not quite as near enough as we need, to be honest with you. P was, do you think you're a celebrity? I don't know who's that aimed at, but if you're asking me, no, I think I'm just a bloke who talks bollocks about West Ham United. Louis, we've had this horrible West Ham trait for years where we go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, completely stop playing football and basically invite the opposition onto us. We need to control the games in the second half. I completely agree. I'm not going to want to say, you're not going to like me saying this, but the last manager who got rid of our soft underbelly was a manager that won us a European trophy. There you go. I said it. Des. I think Nuno's trying to get sacked. I think he should try harder. Trodge, before Paco arrived, Nuno had the worst points per game in West Ham's history. Do we get Paco back? I don't know if he's got a job yet, has he? I don't think he has he? How far behind am I? I'm nearly there. Andrew, I've been impressed with Kante and Orford, but I can't say about others at present. Rice, Noble, Carrick, Lampard, Rio, Johnson, never needed betting. In they came and never looked back. Yeah, fair point. But yeah, Sketch. Even though Nuno doesn't have all the players he wants, the way he utilizes the players he has does not fill me with hope. And that's why I'm saying, see what happens when we've got a full squad that he's got available to him. And if he carries on in the same vein, when he's got more attacking players, then I'll agree with you. Anthos, good evening, mate. Trouble is still, Nuno throws away so many points trying to prove he needs more players. He's so bitter. I don't know. Do you think that? I don't know. Stuart, Pirro needs service, something we have lacked in many years. We need play high with intensity. All this sitting back when we take the lead is ridiculous. Rex, while we have Nuno, we will struggle to see out games. He parks the bus using a Robin reliant. Considering he's meant to be a counter-attacking defensive manager, he can't set a team up to defend. Gary, I saw pirouette a lot at Swansea. I wasn't impressed. He scored goals, but a lot were just tap-ins, being in the right place. His positioning, his technical positioning is what he gets him all the goals. I don't care. He can goal hang for all I care. So long as he's onside and gets the goals, I don't care where he is. He's not a runner, that's for sure. He's not got pace, that's for sure. He's not going to be dropping deep and picking the ball up, that's for sure. Steve, could Nuno have replaced Pablo with Kante and told him to press, keep James Ward-Prowse central and Bone on the right? He could have done. I agreed earlier, mate, that I think that was a bit of a mistake there. True. Good evening, mate. You have you any confidence in West Ham doing good this season? Yes, I always do. As I said earlier on, I think worst case scenario for us, which won't make anyone happy, and I'm not saying I'd accept it, but the worst case scenario will be the playoffs for us. And then what happens there? David, What's so shocking is everyone knows that Haller played alongside another striker, but always up front on his own. They do not do their scouting properly. We could have done with Haller in a 4-4-2 today. Absolutely agree. Trodge, I don't know who you've blocked, but thank you, or whoever's blocked whoever. But thank you for saying. We got other idiots in here. My apologies if we have. See, I'm not seeing any negative, any bad comments, so I can't tell. So forgive me if you guys are still seeing shitty comments. Pitch. I think once we have settled, then we can judge Nuno and Kretinsky. I get people frustrated, but the players who are committed don't need a change. Just makes things. Players who are committed don't need a change. Will just make things worse. Agree. Judge him when we got the players in. Can someone mention to me, because I'm catching up, if we've still got trolls in the chat, because I can't see them, but it looks like you guys may still be seeing them. Jake, I don't think Nuno is the right man for the job. He's philosophical, just doesn't match our expectations. Mancunian Hammer, good evening to you. The board allowed this anti-football scumbag to take us down in the most humiliating manner. They will allow him to keep us down and bore us all to death with the same at the same time. True culture. His type of football is not for a team like West Ham. But we've been saying that for our managers for the last 6-7 years, something like that. Kansas. Looking at the first week's results, I don't think any one team is going to dominate like we've seen in previous seasons. I think there are 4 or 5 teams that will slog it out for automatic promotion places. It's not a given, is it? Absolutely not a given. Mancunian Hammer again. We can start complaining whenever we want. We just have been relegated playing anti-football and have started the season in the same shameful manner. I don't see that. And I see and I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm seeing that we don't have a full squad at this moment in time to really determine what this season is going to turn out like. Once this transfer window is shut and see what players we've got, then we can see what happens from there on in. Rex, Nuno isn't a West Ham manager. He plays the same anti-football as the dinosaur Moyes. No fans wanted any of the board picks since Slaven Bilic. And yet Slaven Bilic, as much as we loved him, if we'd have kept him, would have probably got us relegated. You give this guy the best attacking players, the world, and he'd have them defending on the edge of our own box. Andy, morning, Stel. Hope you're well. Sorry watching you late. It's all right. I came on really late as well. Michael, most of us blocked in. Can you tell me who it was that you blocked? Because it's such a, and I'll try and get him banned. So if someone can tell me who it was you blocked, I can then make sure that he's banned from this site forever. Louis, do you have any players you think will completely surprise us this season in a good or bad way? In all honesty, it's completely surprise us. Who will completely surprise us? I think Kante will come good. I actually really do. I think Kante will come good. I think Engels, the signing. I think Solomon would also be a lot better than we think, to be honest with you. So it's still Sutty. I blocked him ages ago, so I'm sorry that you guys are still seeing him. Ian, but if someone can put his actual title, what his name is completely, I'll make sure it's completely banned from this website. Ian, even if Southampton have signed Mbama, might play against us in the cup. Yeah, I know. D. Scott. At the end of the day, let's not get carried away. In the long run, a point away from home against a promotion rival won't be a bad point in the grand scheme of things. We'll only get better. Absolutely. I think that's it. We're down to Darren. How many more players do you realistically think we will sign before the window closes? Realistically, I think we will get. I think we'll get 3 more. I think we'll get a centre back. I think we'll get. Are we including Pirro? I think we'll get a centre back, a striker in Pirro, and maybe another wide player. But I think we need more than that. So realistically, 3, hoping for 4 or 5. Okay, people, I'm going to let you go. Kavanagh, I think George Earthy needs a start. He's a tiny player, could be one of those standout players that make things happen out of nothing. I was an Earthy fan. I'm not as much an Earthy fan now, unfortunately. And I just I want our players, our academy players, to do well, but I just can't see it with Earthy, I'm afraid. Right, that's it. Thank you all. An hour and 45 minutes was 45 minutes longer than I thought I was going to be on for, given that I came on so late. Really, really appreciate it. If you're new, do subscribe. Thank you very much for all your comments. Really, really appreciate it. Like I said, you put all your comments in here. I'm not going to block anyone for their comments unless they're idiots who had to get banned because he was putting up a lot of shit. So have a good week. Come on, people. We've got Charlton this coming Saturday. We've got a player coming in, hopefully by Wednesday in Piro. I think we're going to get more players coming in before the transfer window shuts. And let's hope for better performances and look forward to it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you all soon.